A man pulls over to help a stranger change her tire, but the next day, a black SUV pulls into his driveway. What happens next? Nobody saw coming. It was just another Tuesday for Jake Matthews, a 35-year-old mechanic from a quiet town in Ohio. Nothing unusual, just another long day fixing trucks, changing oil, and dealing with grumpy customers. As the sun dipped low, casting a golden-orange glow across the sky, Jake was driving home, already dreaming of his recliner, a hot meal and a cold drink. But fate had other plans. Up ahead on the side of the highway, he noticed something odd. A lone car parked on the shoulder, hazard lights blinking. Standing beside it was a young woman, clearly distressed. One flat tire. No help in sight. Jake almost kept going. Almost. But something inside him, a feeling he couldn't quite explain, told him to stop. He pulled over, rolled down his window and called out, "Need a hand?" The woman looked up, startled but relieved. She appeared to be in her late 20s, dressed in business clothes, her phone clutched tightly in one hand. "Yes, please," she said breathlessly. "My phone died. I've been stuck here for over an hour, and no one stopped." Jake didn't hesitate. He popped his trunk, grabbed his tools, and got to work like it was second nature. In 10 minutes flat, the spare was on and secure. Before leaving, he even handed her his portable charger so she could call home. She nearly cried, thanking him again and again. But Jake just smiled and shrugged, just doing what anyone should. He got back in his truck and drove off, thinking nothing more of it. What he didn't know was that act of kindness had set something in motion, because the next day, a mysterious black SUV pulled into his driveway, and everything changed. The next morning, Jake Matthews was doing what he always did, sitting on his porch, sipping a strong cup of black coffee, and enjoying the peaceful quiet of his small-town street. The birds chirped. A dog barked in the distance. Everything felt calm. Until it didn't. A low, steady rumble broke the silence. It wasn't the sound of any neighbor's truck or the usual beat-up delivery van. This engine purred with precision. Jake looked up just in time to see a sleek and black SUV turn the corner and head directly toward his house. It didn't slow down until it reached his driveway. Then it stopped, engine idling. Jake squinted. The windows were darkly tinted. The license plate, government issued. His heartbeat quickened. Before he could move, both front doors opened. Two men in perfectly pressed black suits stepped out. They looked like Secret Service agents straight out of a movie. Earpieces, dark sunglasses, and zero emotion. Then the back door of the SUV opened. Jake's jaw dropped. Out stepped the same woman he had helped the night before, the one with the flat tire. But now she looked completely different. Gone was the distressed, helpless traveler. In her place stood a composed, powerful woman, dressed in a sharp navy suit and heels that clicked authoritatively against the concrete. Her posture screamed confidence. Her presence? Commanding. And just behind her a second black SUV pulled up. Jake's stomach did a flip. "What is going on?" he muttered. The woman walked up the steps toward him with a warm, practiced smile. "Mr. Matthews," she said, offering her hand, "can we talk?" Jake hesitated, then slowly nodded. He had no idea what was coming next. But it was clear. This was no ordinary thank you. They sat across from each other in Jake's modest living room. The once stranded woman, now confidently seated on his old leather couch, introduced herself as Agent Natalie Pierce. Not stranded. Not helpless. Not even close. She wasn't some random traveler with a flat tire. She was a federal intelligence officer with a calm, precise voice and a presence that instantly commanded the room. And the night before, it wasn't random. It was a simulation, she said evenly. I was being followed, intentionally. It was part of a controlled operation. Jake furrowed his brow. An operation? Agent Pierce nodded. We were conducting a national empathy assessment. a program designed to evaluate how everyday citizens respond to emergency situations involving strangers. Jake leaned back, stunned. So, the flat tire, the broken phone, all of it was a test? Yes, and you passed. She explained that dozens of drivers had passed her on that highway. Some slowed down, a few even took photos, but none stopped. None except Jake. You didn't ask questions. You didn't wait to be begged. You saw someone in need and acted, she said. That's the kind of decision-making we're looking for. Jake was silent, still processing. That's when she leaned forward and said the words that changed everything. We believe people like you are rare and important, so we'd like to make you an offer. One that could change your life. Jake stared at her, heartbeat pounding. What kind of offer? He asked. She smiled slightly. One that involves serving your country. Jake sat on the edge of his couch, still trying to make sense of it all. Agent Natalie Pierce's words echoed in his mind. This wasn't a recruitment pitch for some secret spy mission. There were no weapons, no covert operations, no dramatic code names. Instead, what she described was something deeper, something grounded in real-life impact. The agency, she explained, was launching a community resilience initiative, a nationwide program built to strengthen local communities through trust, skill building, and acts of everyday kindness. And they needed people like Jake. You're not just a mechanic, Agent Pierce said. You're someone who shows up when others don't. That's leadership. Jake shifted in his seat. He wasn't used to being called a leader. He fixed engines, rotated tires, and helped neighbors with stuck lawnmowers. That was his life, simple, honest work. Now he was being asked to take those same values and teach others, to travel across the country, share his story, and train people in practical skills and compassionate action during real-world emergencies. No uniforms, no politics, Pierce added. This is about reminding people that decency, empathy, and courage aren't outdated. They're needed more than ever. Jake glanced down at his grease-stained hands that had been turning wrenches for nearly 2 decades. He'd never seen himself as anything special. But now, someone did. And for the first time in a long time, he felt like maybe he could make a bigger difference. Maybe the country needed more mechanics, just like him. A week later, Jake stood nervously in a crisp button-up shirt inside a government building in Washington, D.C. He had never been to the Capitol before. The streets were busy, the buildings towering, and the stakes, at least to him, felt high. But when he stepped to the podium in front of a room full of new recruits for the Community Resilience Initiative, he didn't pretend to be someone he wasn't. He didn't use big, complicated words or try to impress anyone. He just told the truth. He told them about that quiet evening on the highway, about the look on the woman's face when he stopped, about how doing the right thing without expecting anything back led to a black SUV rolling up to his house the next morning. And then he told them the most important part, that anyone can make that choice. You don't need a title, a uniform, or special training. Sometimes, you just need to care. Jake's words hit home. The agency posted a clip of his speech on social media. Within hours, it went viral. The hashtag #BeLikeJake flooded Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. People all over the country started sharing their own acts of kindness, jump-starting cars, buying strangers lunch, helping elderly neighbors. And back home in Jake's small Ohio town, something changed too. People began pulling over more often, slowing down, checking in, lending a hand. Because kindness spreads. Sometimes it just takes one good man, one flat tire, and a simple choice to help. Jake thought he was just helping someone in need, but his simple act of kindness sparked a nationwide movement. Because sometimes, doing the right thing leads to something bigger than you ever imagined.